Are footballers playing too many games? Have we gone too far now? Well, if you were to ask some players such as Manchester City's Rodri, he would definitely say yes. In fact, Rodri has recently come out with one of the most, I think the strongest stance against these fixtures, because it's all been talk so far. It's all been like, we shouldn't do this, the players don't like this, it's too much for us, we're too stretched, we're getting too many injuries, you know, and these are all serious things, don't get me wrong, but it had all been talk, basically. It all been like, look, we're not happy with this, we're not going to do anything about it right now, but we're going to make our concerns voiced. We have to let everybody know our opinions. I mean, even players like Kevin De Bruyne recently, who also plays for Manchester City, you know, he basically said, well, you know, we can say what we want to say, but nobody seems to care. FIFA, UEFA, everybody else in these competitions, they don't really seem to, you know, give a damn basically about what our opinions are, what our thoughts are, how we're feeling doing our job, because that's what this is. It's a job. It's a very well paid job. It's a very high profile job. It's a job that comes with a lot of benefits, but it is still a job. It's how these footballers earn their living, and it's also a short career as well. You know, don't get me wrong, these guys at the top of the game, they're going to earn tens of millions of, well, maybe hundreds of millions of pounds over their careers. You know, they're not going to be strapped for cash or anything, but it's still a short career. It's a career that could effectively end at any moment. You get a leg break, you get a horrible injury, then your career's done, and you could be in your mid-20s by then, and you got the rest of your life still to go. And that leads into all sorts of problems that I'm not going to touch in this video, but I just want to focus on what Rodri said and whether he's right, basically, and what's likely to happen out of this. So he was questioned in the build-up to Manchester City's Champions League match against Inter Milan that they're going to play tonight as I record this Wednesday, the 18th of September. So Manchester City obviously are competing in the Premier League, which is 38 games. They're competing in the Carabao Cup, which is probably about 7 games if they get to the final. The FA Cup, again, about 7 matches or so, something like that. They've also got the Champions League, which has expanded its format now to 8 games throughout its league phase. Then you've got all the knockout ties in there as well, and on top of that, Man City, because they won the Champions League a few years ago, they have been entered into the new FIFA Club World Cup, which is no longer a 2-game tournament for a European or a South American side. In fact, if you want to win this now, no matter where you come from, you have to play 7 games, and this is all in a pre-season period, a summer period, where there's normally no matches, or maybe just a few friendlies or something like that, where not even half of the players will be there, not even players that have to be, you know, at their best to actually compete in these friendly tournaments. This is an actual tournament where you can win a proper trophy, and one that Manchester City did win a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, let's go into what Rodri said. So Rodri basically was asked about the schedule and whether, you know, players are going to go on strike or considering strike action against the Premier League, FIFA, UEFA, I don't even know, I guess everybody really. But Rodri said, and I quote, "I think we're close to that. If you ask any player, they will say the same. It's the general opinion of the players. If it keeps going this way, there will be a moment where we have no other option. But let's see. It's something that worries us because we are the ones who suffer." Now, I will say, because I know this, and I've heard this criticism on the radio while I've been driving around. You know me, guys, I'm always out and about unless I'm in here doing my recordings in the studio, basically, aka my office. I call it a studio. It's a recording studio, how much I use it for that, but it's my office. It's my office. I mean, it's even got an exercise bike there that I never use. Things just gathering dust. But anyway, less about me, more about these guys. I mean, he's not the first to say this. Well, not the first to say that the players are unhappy with this. He's the first one to really say that this high profile they're going to strike. But do the players have a right to do this? Well, I think in a sense they do, because it's just getting more and more greed. It's getting more and more money into the game. And I know this pays their wages, and I know that some people are going to say that, and this is an argument that, oh, these guys are very well looked after. They have the best sports scientists. They have the best lives. They are paid, you know, many, many times more per week than what most people get in a year. You know, if you're on 30 grand, for example, you know, you'd have to work for 10 years to earn what Kevin De Bruyne earns in a week. Now, that puts things into perspective. And yes, I understand that argument in a sense, but you can't beat science. You can't, it doesn't matter how much money you have, your body can only take so much. You're still human at the end of the day. And we've seen how burnout and how having too many fixtures affects players. Look what it does to Brazil's players. Look how much often they burn out young, how they suffer incredibly horrible injuries. Neymar, the Ronaldo Nazario, Ronaldinho to an extent as well. And you might even see the likes of Endrick in the future suffering from something like this. I hope they don't. Obviously, I hope he does not. But it wouldn't surprise me because the fixture congestion is just ridiculous over in South America and the travel and everything. And it's getting that way in Europe as well. And we're going to see this become a problem. Not now. 5, 10, 15 years down the line, we're going to see players that are just struggling to play. And I know people will also say, well, what about squad rotation? And I understand that viewpoint. But really, squad rotation? I mean, you want to be playing your best players every single week, pretty much. And teams can't do that. I mean, yeah, if you get Barnsley in the cup like Man United did and you beat them 7-0, you don't have to play your best team. But even that game, Man United had a close to starting 11. They had the likes of Rashford and Anthony scoring goals. Højlund was in there too, you know. It wasn't the best team, but it wasn't a bad team either. So I think the level of competition, the frequency of the matches, the players absolutely have a right to say this. Will it come to this though? Will they strike? I don't know, but they'll be considering their options. I mean, FIFA Pro, I think, are the organisation, basically the players' union. You know, they support players, and that's where I've got this article from today. So, you know, shout out for those guys. But I don't know. This is unprecedented. This has never happened before. I can't think of footballers ever going on strike like this before. They're still going to get paid their wages, you know, so they're not going to strike for not getting paid or something like that. But it's the working conditions. Has it gone too far? And it's going to be very difficult because the clubs have agreements. They have fixtures to fulfill, TV deals to honour. So in the end, I don't know if they're going to be able to strike, but the fact it's being talked about now really shows us something. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Are players playing too many games in modern football? Is the calendar too congested? And do you think they will strike? And do you think they're right to strike? Let us know your thoughts. I'm very interested in your thoughts as always, guys. And of course, for much more football content, hopefully a little less like this, but for much more football content, keep it tuned here to thefootballchronicle.com.